Blessings and welcome to the Path to Freedom blog. And it's not a walk and talk, but it is a sit and talk. And I'm happy that you're here. My name is Daniel Roquillo, and it's been quite a while since I made one of these. And my mind obviously has opinions around that. To my mind, I made a commitment to post here on this blog or vlog or whatnot regularly, weekly actually. That has not been the case at all. It's been, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks, 5 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that since my last post. And this is how life is. We have these ideas, we make plans, and God does not always heed our plans. Spirit doesn't always give one iota as to what our plans are. It is not about our calendar. It is not about our agenda. It is not about our timetables. It is not about our schedules. We can try to enforce these. We can beat our heads against the wall trying to have our way. But if we want to live this peaceful life, if we want to move along the path to freedom, we need to find a way to surrender and trust. To surrender I will to thy will, and trust that in any given moment we are exactly where we need to be. And that which is happening is exactly perfect. Perfect preparation and unfolding is always happening. And it is difficult. I mean, I haven't counted, but there have been so many times that I've caught myself thinking I should and I need to record another video for this blog. And while that may seem reasonable and that may seem logical, and that may be the way many of us live, from a sense of I should do this, I have to do that. But my vision for myself, as I've caught it, and for my life, and I'll probably circle back to that, because that I had a major evolution on my life's vision come to me a couple of weeks ago. But one intention that has stayed with me for many years is to live a simple, peaceful, and quiet life. Simple, peaceful, and quiet. And there is no room for should in a simple, peaceful, and quiet life. There is little room for I have to in a simple, peaceful, and quiet life. But that simple, and I'm not saying that there aren't things that, I need to do. I'm not saying that there are things that I may not want to do, but that are in alignment with that life. So I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying not to ever do anything that is not out of from a sense of joy or inspiration. But I want joy and inspiration to guide and lead me as much as possible. And this has been a few weeks ago. It may have been more, it may have been shorter, or less. And I don't even remember how it came into my mind, how I caught it. But I did catch to, and I actually did record a talk about it that you may or may not have listened to. But I did catch how Spirit is calling me to live the most beautiful life that I can ever live. And this was an upgrade from my previous intention to live a simple, peaceful, and quiet life, unbound by time and place. Because it involves so many other areas. And as I'm now moving, it was a slight course correction. It wasn't a major course correction. It was more about catching a higher vision for that life, for my life and the life that I'm midwifing. And I'm realizing that it is a life that is in many ways completely opposite from the life that society wants us to live, from the life that many of us are living. It is, as I said, it is an expansion of the simple, peaceful, and quiet life, and it is even more. I've been better able to articulate and describe what that simple, peaceful, and quiet life means. And so, and this began down in Spain. I so remember recording a couple of videos about the financial transformation that is happening. And that in my mind, it was put on hold as we got back to Sweden. But the way it is now unfolding, it was never put on hold. And I mean, knowing God, knowing Spirit, nothing is ever put on hold. They're just different stages, and there are states, and there are seasons, and there are periods, and we're being moved and guided beautifully toward the highest vision, always and sometimes in ways that we cannot comprehend. And I certainly, having been in the midst of a very intense space, I certainly didn't recognize that I was in the midst of this unfolding. I've had judgments around that as well these last few weeks, about how I from the looks of it, I was being moved in a different direction than where I wanted to go. But now, having been lifted up and being able to have a higher vantage point, I can now see that space that I was moving through, and I'm still in it. But with this higher vantage point, how can now see that these are all bits and pieces of the same puzzle. I don't know if this is making any sense. I'm still in the midst of it, and I'm also affected by the intensity with which my life is unfolding, and some other things that are happening. But what I wanted to say is that the perfect unfolding is happening, and I'm now being moved back into what began. It didn't begin in Spain, but what I began to catch in Spain, and how, and this is the financial transformation that is happening. And as I've vowed for this blog to be raw and honest, so what I'm dealing with now is releasing the notion that being financially free or independent, that having money is spiritual. Or actually, I used to have this notion, this belief, that it was non-spiritual, that it was that it was not in alignment with me, my consciousness, all these stories around money that I'm now being invited, and that I am now releasing to allow for a financial freedom and independence to flow into my life. So I'm working very consciously and very actively with redefining what money is. Intellectually, I know it's energy. Intellectually, I know that it is not the money in and of itself that creates negative experiences. It is what we do with it, right? But that is intellectual, and I'm realizing that as I'm working with money, as I'm working with expanding my relationship with money, I'm realizing that there are so many limited beliefs and stories that they are so ingrained within me. But I'm starting to come into a feeling tone that I used to have a beautiful teacher, and I can still hear his words ringing in my mind, where he used to say that money is good for only two things. It is good to make our lives comfortable, and it allows us to expand our service. So the more money we have, the more energy we can direct toward being of service, and the more we can allow that service to expand, as opposed to when we're not having money, when our days go and we spend our time trying to get money or worrying about money or whatever the case may be. And I've never... So I'm listening to a number of books to help me transcend these limited beliefs. One is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. One is How Wealthy People Think, or something like that, by Harv Eker, that may be his name. The Holy Grail of Investing by Tony Robbins, and some other books in that genre, right? To help me reconfigure the mind. And I'm leaning heavily into my prayer journal and just writing how I want to think about money, how I want to feel about money. And I'm noticing the ease and grace with which money comes into my life. Not freely, not independently, in the sense, and my definition of independence is my definition of freedom. First of all, financial freedom is to have enough money to be able to do and buy and be and do, be and have all that I want to do, be and have. To be able to buy things and do things without needing to look at the price tag. And my definition of independence is that more money is coming in, or that money is coming in without me needing to work for it. And it's weird, it's strange how life, Spirit, God moves us. I never in a million years would have thought that I would have as my primary focus to change my relationship to money and to learn the language of money, to learn to make money in a way that is in alignment with how I want to live my life. It's always been, I mean, and in one of these books, the author is saying that most people, or many people that don't have money, claim that money is not important. While those that have money, they claim and know that money is important. And And he beautifully puts it. He says something to the effect of, claiming that money is unimportant is denying oneself to have money. And he uses an analogy, and I may absolutely be paraphrasing, and I may absolutely get the details wrong, but he's saying that if we didn't think it was important to exercise, we wouldn't exercise, right? And if we don't exercise, we absolutely get the health thereof. And so one of the first steps of allowing for financial freedom and independence is to actually recognize that money is important. Not more important than health, not more important than relationships, not more important than many aspects of other aspects of life, but it is important. And we need to acknowledge that it is important. And we need to acknowledge and we need to address our notion and belief that it isn't important. We get hardly nowhere without money. We cannot buy food, we cannot pay rent, we cannot have a car, there's so many things that are dependent on us having money. So we need to acknowledge that money is important in our lives. It is not the only key to happiness, but it absolutely allows for a greater iteration of life to reveal itself and emerge from within us. And I'm dealing with all of these new ideas and concepts around money, because I've absolutely been one of those who claim that money isn't important. And yes, and somewhere in one of these books, they say that I'd rather be living a peaceful life with lots of money than a stressful life without money. And I so agree. I so agree. So I wanted to check in, and it is my intention to check in on a regular basis, more often than I have. But I'm also open to spirit having it some other way. But and I could go on and on and on, but I don't want to. I don't want to make a motion picture out of this, so I'll just stop and my mind is all over the place, and it's all right. There's so many things that are happening, so much that is being released, so many beautiful things that are happening, so many new opportunities. So I absolutely know that all is well, even though I am not always able to find that higher perspective. Or as we say in Sweden, helikopterperspektiv, which means the ability to see something from above as opposed to from below or from the midst of it. All right. Until we meet again, as always, much love, many blessings. Namaste.